Greetings and welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into reparenting, exploring all of the tools and resources that you'll need to help you along your journey. This podcast is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading. The second is a discussion of the reading, followed by suggested journal prompts. And the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad you've joined us today on this journey of self-expansion and growth. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe this podcast wherever you're listening, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Your help here really makes a huge difference in allowing us to spread the word and build a more supportive community as we continue with our self-reparenting. Now, before we get started, I have some quick updates for you. First, I'd like to introduce our Patreon community. Here, for a small monthly fee, you can join us for 3 weekly meetings for additional support with your reparenting journey. On Sundays, we have a meditation group. On Tuesdays, we have a book club discussion. And on Thursdays, we have open topic conversations. You can find out more details about this if you go to the Reparenting Daily website and check out on the community tab. In addition to that, we also have a WhatsApp group to foster more daily connection and support for whenever you need it. And this is a community of fellow travelers from around the world who will always be there when help is needed. It's just one of the many ways that we're building our network of resources that are really going to help support your reparenting journey. For the next update, I'm very excited to announce that I've just released some first books. The first is probably the most important, and it's called the Reparenting Daily Journal. Now, this journal is a daily guide for 365 days of the year. We'll be starting in 2025, and basically each month corresponds to a theme in reparenting, and each week of each month corresponds to a sub-theme of the monthly theme. Now, from the beginning of the year, 2025, each daily episode will correspond with the themes in the daily workbooks. And so you can use this as a guide to work through your reparenting journey to stay focused, ensuring that you cover all of the most critical areas within a year's time. And again, this will be aligning up with the podcast, so you can use both of these to make a more engaging and interactive experience. This is ensuring that you really book progress on your reparenting journey. The next set of books I've written is called Fairy Tales for Reparenting. This is a collection of 3 books that contain short stories or fairy tales inspired from Jungian analysis, mythology, philosophy, and psychology that really is targeted to helping you connect to your inner child. And so these stories are very short. They're not very long. They're written in a very simple manner so that it's not too taxing on you, so you can more easily connect with the joy and fun of your inner child. More interestingly, however, is that at the end of each story, there's an analysis section that really analyzes the main themes and concepts within each story to provide encouragement and inspiration. Additionally, you will find corresponding journal prompts after each story and each analysis section to help you reflect deeper on how the themes of each fairy tale can be reflected and correspond to your own personal journey as you work towards self-expansion. You can find all of these books now available on Amazon, so go ahead and give us a look and give us some support. And as I've mentioned before, this entire process of reparenting and self-expansion is really about growth, iterative change, and continuous improvement. Much like the process of nurturing the bonsai tree, our reparenting journey requires our consistency and care. So many thanks for being here and for supporting this project, and also to committing on your journey of self-expansion. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is from Positive Psychology. We're reading the article, How to Practice Self-Compassion, 8 Tips and Techniques. Today, we're going to read the section, the 8 Tips and Techniques. Because the reading is a practice, we will skip the second section, and I encourage you to review and to work through the practice, or the 2 practices that we'll read, in your own time. Just as a reminder, the month is February, and the theme for this month is self-compassion and self-kindness. We are in the 4th and final week, February 15th until the 28th. And the theme for this week is developing a daily self-compassion practice. 8 tips and techniques for practicing self-compassion. There are lots of specific exercises available online that will help you practice self-compassion in a way that suits you. We'll cover some of these in more depth in our resource section, but most have the same general approach. Become more self-aware. Other techniques related to becoming more self-aware, techniques related to being more self-aware and tapping into your self-talk. Compared to beating ourselves up, becoming aware of our internal narrative is a positive starting point for changing our self-talk. Number 1, release statements. Use release statements. Maybe you've never been a big fan of positive affirmations. Maybe they don't feel natural to you, or you believe they don't quite reach your inner critic at the subconscious level. If that is the case, you might try what is colloquially referred to as releasing statements. These are closely related, if not equivalent, to many exercises in self-forgiveness and tap into the mindfulness concept of detached non-judgment. When you catch yourself thinking a negative thought like, I'm such a horrible person for getting upset, try turning it around and releasing yourself from the feeling. Instead, try, it's okay that I feel upset. Step 2, try self-acceptance. This means embracing your own perceived shortcomings as well as your character strengths. Morgado et al., 2014. Self-compassion is not self-compassion is about not overinflating these shortcomings into a definition of who we are. Rather, thoughts and feelings are behaviors and states. Neff 2010. And step 3, practice mindfulness. Harvard Health Beat 2019 suggests that mindfulness practices are a good way to center ourselves in the moment. Not only is mindfulness one of self-compassion's core constructs, but a lot of exercises such as yoga and deep breathing can be used anytime, anywhere. Christian Neff also recommends guided nurturing meditations, including body scans and a short self-compassion break. And step 4, try not to judge yourself too quickly. Another tip from DiPiro is to stop assuming you'll behave a certain way. It's easy to assume things like, I get really grumpy and antisocial on flights, which sometimes precludes the possibility that you'll act in a different way. This is, once again, about treating yourself as you would others, and just a future-focused way to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. The second practice is called regaining perspective. From here, we can also zoom out to remind ourselves once more that we're connected to others, that we are part of something much bigger, common humanity, and adjust our focus accordingly. Here are some tips. Let go of the need for outside validation. Author Dan Pirio, Stay Positive, The Positively Present Guide to Life, suggests that lots of our negative thinking comes from how others perceive us. If we're beating ourselves up for eating some things, for instance, a lot of that self-directed anger stems from social pressures, like the pressure to look a certain way or maintain a certain weight. Choosing not to tie our happiness to outside influences can thus be an act of self-kindness with a much larger knock-on effect. Neff 2011. If this idea is interesting to you, there's more in this self-reliance article. Number 2, reaching out to others. This might sound like the opposite of the above, but in fact, this technique is more about placing your feelings in context. When we talk with others, we realize that we're not alone in feeling pain at difficult times. It's an important part of reaffirming our sense of connectedness, reframing our perceived problems with the big picture, and building social support networks that are invaluable to our well-being. This is the reading for today, and these are the only 2 exercises I will read. As always, the link to the full article is in the show notes. As this section was an actual practice, I encourage you to re-listen to these steps for the 2 skills of Number one, becoming more self-aware. And number two, regaining perspective. Go ahead and check out the link that's in the show notes, open the full article, reread through these, and then take some time to practice. Then perhaps take out your journal and note down your experiences of this practice. That's it for today. Thanks for being here. As always, take care of yourself and do be well. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you are taking some time to be with your breath to connect with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing as if they are drifting down a river. Use this time to connect with yourself. Whatever time of day you are listening to this, Namaste.